Hi, this is Socially Triggered, and this video is about Steve Clevenger and his recent suspension from the remainder of the season. He's a Seattle Mariners catcher, and he was recently suspended for what was deemed insensitive, racist comments that he made on Twitter. I have the tweets for you to see, and we're going to go through the tweets, and I'm going to discuss a little bit about the history behind the two tweets and to sort of put it into context. I actually think what he said was justified, and I don't think he should have been suspended. Even if he said something racist, I don't think he should be suspended. The reason being is if we start censoring speech, if we start doing all these things against people for having an opinion, rightly or wrongly, it just creates like a whole problem with our society that we have to be so sensitive that we get triggered by everything. I know that this channel is socially triggered, so it's very ironic that I'm saying that, but the whole point of this channel was not to be socially triggered. That we have all these things where we're going against free speech. And what he said was even that bad. Actually, wasn't even bad at all. He was very justified in what he said. So let's look at the tweets and see, was he justified? So here's the first of the two tweets that he had put out. BLM is pathetic once again. Obama, you are pathetic once again. Everyone involved should be locked behind bars like animals. So what he's referring to was the riots that happened in Charlotte, where protesters, there was some peaceful protesting that happened, but there was a lot of people who, instead of protesting peacefully, were out rioting and destroying property. 50 police officers were injured in the violence. One person within the rioters was killed by the rioters. Many shops were looted, and a lot of damage was done. And it was all triggered by Black Lives Matter. They are pathetic because they are instigating these acts of violence. I don't mind if they protested peacefully. If they felt really that something had been done wrong to their race, then they have every right to protest, but do so peacefully. So it is pathetic that they encourage this kind of violence. Obama bears some of the responsibility for this, and he is pathetic because he hasn't bore that responsibility. What has happened since he has become president is, instead of this being an age of enlightenment and racial harmony and all these wonderful ideas, it has been the opposite. Racial tensions are at the worst level for many generations, decades, I should say. And it's because instead of showing people, hey, a black person can become president, they can become anything they want, what does he do? He just encourages this whole narrative that black people are oppressed. Oh, poor black people. There's nothing you can do. The system is against you. The police are racist. And he encourages this. He hasn't done anything to stop it. Why are we saying this kind of stupid stuff? It's not true. If you look at every one of these incidents, they just aren't, it isn't true. And I'm going to look at this one specifically for that reason, to see, is it racist, what happened in Charlotte? We'll find out. So when he's saying everyone should be involved should be locked behind bars like animals, well, we're all animals, we're humans. Humans are animals. Whether you like that expression or not, it's true. But the thing is, they should be locked behind bars. If you riot, that is not a peaceful protest, and you should be put behind bars. And it doesn't matter if your cause is just or not. You are committing a crime by rioting. Peaceful protest is fine, rioting is not. So yes, everyone involved should be locked behind bars. And they are animals. Okay? So let's look at the second tweet. This is the second of the two tweets. Black people beating whites when a thug got shot holding a gun by a black officer. Haha, shit cracks me up. Keep kneeling for the anthem. Now realize that these two tweets, even if you think that they're racist or whatever, they were not intended for the whole world to see. He tweeted this out to his private network on Twitter. He doesn't have it sharing with everybody. It's just his private network. It was just that somebody took screenshots of these and then made it public. So he wasn't trying to spit this out for the world to see. These were private thoughts for his private friends. But this one, in particular, people got upset about. Black people beating whites. Well, what happened in the riots? Black people were beating up whites. The whole thing was inspired by the idea that whites are the devil and that they should be beaten up and harm should come to them. And that's what the riots were about, doing as much damage to whites as possible. And the second part of that statement is when a thug got shot holding a gun by a black officer. Haha, you know, it's a funny situation. So what is the real story behind this? If you listen to the media, they create this narrative where it's a black man sitting in his car, minding his own business, waiting for his son coming home from school. He's just sitting there reading a book. But what is the truth? And the truth came out afterwards. And the riots didn't wait for the truth to come out. They didn't wait to find out what the real story was. They just rioted. So let's find out what the truth is. Well, the facts of the case are this. On September 20th, 2016, Keith Scott was going in and out of his car with a gun. Now, there was some black officers that were there for a very different reason. They were serving a warrant for somebody else, and they saw Keith Scott acting very erratic. He was doing marijuana, which is by itself not legal and should be cracked down on, but they weren't too concerned about that because they had a more pressing issue with serving the warrant that they were there for. But they were concerned when he was brandishing a gun. Now, you can carry a gun, but you cannot brandish a gun, which means taking it out, playing with the gun in public. You should not do that. That's illegal. So the police thought this is not a safe situation. And they confronted him. Now, they displayed their vests with police insignia on it that said police. They had badges to show that they were police officers. And the one that was involved with the shooting, his name is Bentley Vizin. And he was a black police officer. And he didn't have a body cam on, but the other officers did. So there's actually a recording of the incident. And they verbally said, please put down the gun. So, and they repeated this multiple times. Keith Scott refused to put the weapon down and was posing an immediate threat, a deadly threat to the officers. The weapon was loaded. Okay, this is not some unarmed black man with a that's not the truth. There was no book ever found on the scene. That's all made up. But the point is, he was carrying a weapon. He was posing a threat. He was resisting arrest, and the police did what they had to do. They felt threatened. They felt that he posed a danger not just to them, but to the community around them. And they did what they had to do. They had to shoot. And it was a black police officer that made that decision. So was this a racist thing? No. Was this an unjustified shooting of a black American? No. Should the riots in Charlotte happened? No. Were white people related to this in any way? No. So racism has happened here. And it happened in Charlotte during the riots. And it wasn't racism against black people. It was racism against white people. And to make it even sadder is a situation where Steve Clevenger states the facts briefly, but states the facts. Black people were beating whites. And it was a thug. This guy was a criminal, had a long criminal record. He got shot for acting like a thug. And he was killed by a black officer. Had nothing to do with racism. So, what is the conclusion of all this? Racism is alive, and it's against white people. That white people are not allowed to say the truth, and if they do, they're racist, and they'll get suspended from their job without pay. There is a real problem here. And when I hear these things, I'm upset for the lack of freedom of speech. I'm upset because people are going out and they're committing crimes, like they're rioting, they're causing more death and destruction. And it's all based on a lie that the media is perpetuating, that they're encouraging people to think this way. We got to change the way we're thinking, people. We got to change it, or this is just going to keep on happening. The media is lying to us. I hope you're socially triggered as well, and I hope that this video was good. And if I really look forward to hearing your comments on it, and please give it a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't, and give me some feedback. Thank you. Bye.